The first step is to remove the rear wheel. Shift the gear into the highest position. This means the 8th or 11th speed. Then go back to the rear wheel and unhook the shifter cable bolt. You can do this by pulling up the shift mechanism by hand. This loosens the shifting cable and you can unhook the cable nut from its place. Once you have that, you can start loosening the rear wheel bolts on both sides. These hold the rear wheel in the frame. If you have loosened it enough, the wheel will come out of place. Carefully unhook the transmission cable housing from the transmission cable holder. The wheel is then completely free and you can remove it from its place. In the next step, you will work on the middle section. Loosen the center bolt on the side of the pulley with a 10 Allen key. It is very important to loosen this bolt on the side of the pulley. Do not touch the bolt on the other side. If you have loosened it completely, the pulley side will come off. Take it down. Carefully pull the shaft out of the middle part with the crank on the other side. Then loosen it completely with a 4 Allen key and take out the eccentric BB screws. If all 3 screws are out, you should be able to remove the eccentric by turning and pulling it with your hand. As a first step, insert the eccentric on the drive side on the right side. You can recognize this eccentric BB side by the fact that it is not completely drilled. It is important that the cable protection tube is also on the eccentric BB and that you insert it into the frame together with it. It is very important to pay attention to the position due to the internal cable routing. The eccentric must be inserted so that the position of the bolts is as shown in the figure. It is important that the middle bolt is above the cable and the right bolt is below the cable. This way you will be able to properly tension the eccentric without the cables being in the way. If you have the right position, insert the left eccentric BB as well. It is important to try to insert it as accurately as possible so that its holes coincide with the holes on the other side. Try to fit the cable protection tube with your finger and press the 2 eccentric BBs together. Tap it together if necessary to make it snap into place. If you manage to play them into place, then the 3 eccentric bolts can go in. Make sure that the bolts fits into the thread when inserting. Try to screw it in gently. If it doesn't come to the other side, try turning it a little. Once the 3 bolts are in, tighten them so that all 3 bolts are slightly threaded, but not tight, as you will still be turning them. If you have that, put the axle back. Make sure the washer and spring wave washer are on the shaft. Place the pulley on the other side of the shaft and start screwing it in with a 10 Allen key. Make sure you only screw it in so that there is still some play for the cranks. The right condition is when they can still move. Don't over-tighten, it doesn't need to be tight. Then put the rear wheel in place. Make sure the belt is on the front and rear pulleys when loading the wheel. When loading, insert the shifter cable into the shifter cable holder. If the wheel is in place, fasten the wheel by hand with the two nuts so that it does not fall out of place. Pull one side. Loosen the other side, then push the wheel fully into place and tighten this side as well. Repeat the process on the other side to make sure the wheel is in place. Adjust the shifter cable to the rear pulley. Lift the shifter mechanism with one finger and insert the nut of the shift cable into the small recess with the nut facing out. Shift into middle gear. In the case of an 8-speed gearbox, it is 4th gear. In the case of an 11E transmission, gear 6. In this middle position, check whether the two yellow lines run into each other on one of the markings on the bottom or top of the hub. If it is in line, then the shifter is set well. If it is not good, readjustment of the shift lever bolt is necessary. The belt is still loose, so now you adjust the position of the Eccentric BB. We are using the Eccentric BB tool that is available on the Booda Bike webshop. This tool was designed directly for Booda Bike Eccentric BBS. Grab a 4mm Allen key. Fit the tool onto the holes while and start turning the tool. You will turn the Eccentric BB with this move. Check the tension of the belt during rotation. It is important that the belt will tighten on little more later on by fully tightening the crank, so take this into account. If you have the correct tension, position the eccentric by tightening the bolts. The axle is still loose, so as one of the last steps, tighten the axle with full force. This means a force between 38 and 41 Newton meters. After tightening the axle bolt, tighten the 3 eccentric bolts with a torque of 5 Newton meters. Finally, we check the final belt tension.